Welcome to the Daily Gospel of John. We're going to take a look at verses 11 through 13 in John 7. Now at the feast, the Jews were watching for him and asking, "Where is that man?" Among the crowds there was widespread whispering about him. Some said, "He is a good man." Others replied, "No, he deceives the people." But no one would say anything publicly about him for fear of the Jews. John, for whatever reason, refers to the spiritual leaders, the Pharisees and Sadducees, as the Jews. And the rest of the people who were also Jewish, he refers to as the crowd. Now, the other gospel writers will specifically say the Pharisees and Sadducees were waiting to kill him. But anyway, he wanted to just clarify that. So the common people did have their views about Jesus. Some thought he was a good man, some thought he was a deceiver. But it's interesting that they all were afraid to speak their opinion publicly for fear of the Jews, the Jewish leaders. Now, keep in mind that for hundreds of years prior to this, that God had consistently spoken against the spiritual and political and social leaders of the Jewish nation, referring to them as false shepherds. And every one of the minor prophets in the Old Testament, God was coming down on them for abusing their power and misleading the people. And isn't it true so much in human history that leaders who have become corrupt, somewhat like a mafia, cause the people who are under their power to be silenced for fear that word might get out that you're thinking or going against the flow of whatever the powers that be think the flow should be. We've seen it all through history. We've seen it in church history where the church in the Middle Ages became a power-hungry mafia type of a group. And God help you if you spoke out against their corruption. They might burn you at the stake. How many true followers of Jesus, I wonder, were burned at the stake because they spoke up? Quite a few. Or Nazi Germany. Many brilliant intellectuals in Germany in that day, but where did they all go when the Nazis took power? I'm sure some spoke up and paid with their lives, and same with pastors, but many were shamefully silent. But I don't want to be too harsh, because when our lives and livelihood are threatened by the power brokers, speaking up can be a scary thing. I just read in the paper the other day an Atlanta public school system where 38 principals, 170 some teachers, and some superintendents were all involved in a cheating scam wherein they were changing student test scores to make themselves look like they were doing a better job. And God help anybody that was speaking up or trying to blow the whistle on them. They were threatened. And so most people went with the flow. They may have hated it, but they went with the flow. That's sad. I encourage you to watch a really good movie. Hollywood tried to kind of keep it down a bit, but it's a Ben Stein movie. I think it's very well done. It's called Expelled. In that movie, Ben Stein, I think, does a pretty good job of exposing the power structure within the universities today that will squelch anyone whose data and research begins to point scientifically to the fact that there must be an intelligent designer to this universe, to us, the DNA, the 136 million light-sensitive rods and cones in our eyes, and all this, that this couldn't just happen by an explosion of mindless matter in space. And yet, if scientists, biochemists, and molecular biologists, whatever, if they state their views in any way to hint that they believe in a creator God, well, their job is threatened. Their whole career is threatened. They will be mocked and scorned. And I tell you, there's many of them that do believe in a God, but they're afraid to say it because they'll lose their job. So this is still going on today. Well, I hope that God will so embolden us with truth and knowing that He ultimately is in charge. As Jesus said, do not fear. In Luke 12, He said to the guys, listen guys, don't be afraid of those who can kill your body and after that can do no more. I'll tell you whom you shall fear. Fear Him who after the destruction of the body can destroy both body and soul in hell. Yes, I tell you, fear Him. Then He said this, He said, see those sparrows over there? Not one of those sparrows will fall to the ground apart from your Father knowing. Even the very hairs on your head are numbered. Are you not much more valuable than many sparrows? God knows. Be bold because your God is powerful and he wins in the end. We can be strong. We can be bold. God bless. Thanks for watching.